The Philippines' ranking rises in a global corruption survey at a time when the Aquino administration faces its worst corruption crisis.
Bagyang bumuti ang ranggo ng Pilipinas sa bagong Corruption Perceptions Index ng grupong Transparency International. Pero ayon mismo sa grupo, halos walang bigat ang iniangat ng Pilipinas dahil kabilang pa rin ang bansa sa may talamak na kaso ng katiwalian.
In 2010, the Philippines elected a new president with the hope for a clean and corrupt-free government. The Aquino administration's roadmap to accomplish this goal is outlined in the chapter of Good Governance and Rule of Law of the Philippine Development Plan. To date, there are a number of notable accomplishments. In 2011, President Aquino joined as a funding signatory to the Open Government Partnership, a global multilateral initiative aimed at securing commitments from governments to promote transparency, empower citizens, fight corruption, and harness technologies to strengthen governance. In 2012, the Good Governance and Anti-Corruption Plan was approved by the President to institutionalize the commitments in the OGP, identify reforms to curb corruption, and improve the delivery of public services, particularly among the poor. Office of the President signed an agreement with the Office of the Ombudsman to jointly ensure the implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption and undertake the Integrity Management Program aimed to be the primary national anti-corruption prevention framework of the government. Indeed, a number of roadmaps, frameworks, strategies are currently in place to tread a straight path that President Aquino promised the public. But despite all these, the passage of the Freedom of Information Bill and the Whistleblowers Protection Act, two most basic and important pieces of legislation promised in the PDP, remains in limbo. The experts' perception on local corruption captured in 2012 Corruption Perceptions Index or CPI ranked the Philippines 105th out of 176 countries, still belonging to the quadrant of most corrupt nations. In a survey conducted by the Worldwide Independent Network and Gallup International Association through its local partner, the Philippine Survey and Research Center, randomly sampled and interviewed 1,000 people across the Philippines to get their views on corruption levels in the country and the government's efforts to fight corruption. The survey resulted saying Filipino public feels that there is still a very serious problem with the public sector institutions in the country, with figures showing 4.4 over 5 indicating how serious is the problem of corruption in the public sector as perceived by the Filipinos. Level in the Philippines remains high. 38% of Filipinos perceive that it has significantly decreased in the last 2 years, a notable improvement from 6% in 2010 to 2011. Based on a 6-year comparative figure, there is also significant improvement in public opinions on government efforts to combat corruption. The satisfaction level of Filipinos reached a peak of 77 in 2009, and it has slowly gone down in the advent of new administration in 2010.
You came to power 2 years ago promising to end corruption, eradicate poverty, and provide good governance. To date, how would you judge your performance?
Well, I think you can see it by the attitude of our people. And perhaps I can put it in a context. When I was a congressman, I had occasion to talk to this group of students who were taking nursing. There were about 80 of them, and I asked them, how many of you will be serving in the country once you graduate? And out of the 80, there were 2 that raised their hands. The rest were thinking of leaving. So I think our people were voting with their feet. And again, put it in the proper context. What did I inherit? For instance, we were told that we will perpetually have to import our staple, which is rice. Now, contrast that to my Secretary of Agriculture stating that by 2013, there is a very distinct possibility we'll be a net exporter of rice.